Smash that like button, be a friend, tell a friend, and share the stream. We talked about it before break. Spinny, James Houston, that's the guy you're looking forward to. It's a guy, multiple people, I mean, from Brad Holmes on, have had positive things to say. In 2022, he had that 8-sack streak in just, I think, 7 games. And we're constantly waiting for him to revitalize that juice. He did have a sack in the preseason game against the Steelers, however, it was against the second or third team. Didn't have one against the Giants. It's kind of up in the air right now, and it's so much so. Dan Campbell had this to say after the game. Chris, you mind playing that one?
And when guys does one thing exceptionally well, but maybe doesn't offer you a whole lot elsewhere, how does that play into an overall evaluation?
Yeah, and it's a good question because we really didn't have him a lot of camp. He was hurt. So we didn't get to see him at Kansas City this week, and so he's probably had maybe half of training camp, if that, somewhere in there. And so you still have to go off the totality of what it is. We understand he's a year 3 player that we have to take the body of work that has taken place in practice against our very good tackles. We got 2 of the best tackles in the league, and that he has to go against. And you take those, and then you take a little bit of what you saw today. Okay, well, what does the health look like? Can he still move? Is it? But I think, look, that's going to be a hard decision for Brad and myself. It is, one way or another. Because that's kind of what you're asking. Is it enough? I don't, and it's hard to say that right now. I mean, this will be a lot of things that we hash out between the 2 of us, the coaching staff, all of it. Like we got to make sure we're seeing it clearly.
I want you guys to pay attention to some of the words you said at the end there too, because hash out, you sit down, like have that actual conversation, because it feels, I can't say for sure because we're not in the building and in those conversations, but it feels like Brad Holmes is on the side of keeping Houston, and he had, I just seen the clip from March at the owners' meetings. This is what he was saying about Houston.
Yep. Look, sometimes it always gets lost of our eyes can get numb to our own players, and I'm not saying us, but, look, everybody doesn't have an Aiden Hutchinson on the edge. Everybody doesn't have an Aleem McNeil. So everyone doesn't have, again, when players are hurt, talking about the Emmanuel Mosley thing, when a player gets hurt, the player's forgotten about. Everyone doesn't have even a James Houston, that's obviously everybody was really excited about after he had all those sacks as a rookie, and then now he's hurt, and it's like, well, James Houston in on our roster. No, yes, he is. So he's coming back as well with a Marcus Davenport. So to add a reader with the mix of all those other guys, I think it's going to make things so much better.
And then you got to see Brad Holmes kind of talking about James Houston and the plus side. Now, granted, that was back in March before you had – and Brad Holmes, when we were out there, Deanna and I, he was there watching practice the same as any other coach too, but that was before this preseason, this outing, before James kind of, I don't want to say they disappointed, but he wasn't really available, like Dan Campbell was saying.
Yeah, the first game of the year, the first preseason game of the year, he was still playing that Sam position, and we know that was an experiment that didn't work out too well. And then when they moved him back to edge in a full role at edge, he didn't play that next game. He didn't play against, the Giants?
He played against the Giants, he played against KC.
He didn't play against the Chiefs, because of the injury after they moved him back to edge from Sam. And then the final preseason game of the year, he's playing the edge role, and he gets a sack. So, again, I don't think it's ever been a production thing with James Houston. We know that when he's given the opportunity in the NFL, he produces. In 9 games, he has 8 sacks. So it's not a production thing with him. It's the versatility of him and how this team, this coaching staff, this regime, they value versatility and flexibility with a player more than any individual skill set. So if you are a player like James Houston that really only brings one thing to the table, you're going to get a second look, and it's going to be a harder thought than other guys they might think are more complete players or guys that they can use in different aspects of the game. So I still think James Houston makes this team. I think he makes the 53 because you look at what he does and how well he does that and how impactful that specific thing is to the game of football. I think it's hard to give up on a guy like that. So I think he'll make this team. I think we see him on the roster and playing games for the Lions.
A little bit of an update in the Houston saga as well. I'm agree with you, Spinny. I think he makes his team. and I'm got a little bit of a cheat code with me. Agud officially cut from the Detroit Lions team.
He's waived.
I expect waived. That's why I apologize. Waived. Meaning, hopefully he can make it back to the 69 because we don't have anybody to play that Sam linebacker position if Derek Barnes were to go out. As you said, they tried getting James Houston to do that for 3 years now. Obviously, last year dealt with the injury, but 3 years they've been working on getting him. And by the way, a coaching staff that we respect. Like, we all, I think, highly of Kelvin Shepard. Obviously, the defensive line, but he wasn't with the defensive line group. He wasn't able to shake at the Sam linebacker spot. However, he showcased elite skills at just rushing the passer.
And people saying that he'll make it back to the practice squad. No, if he gets waived, someone will pick him up.
Houston?
Yeah.
Yeah, if Houston gets waived, someone's definitely
If he gets waived, someone will.
If your intention isn't to keep James Houston, that's why I was kind of tweeting yesterday. Is like, you're not keeping Houston. Pick up the phone. Yeah, and you call for Noah Brown. Pick up the phone, call for whatever you feel like you may need, but you're gonna have to make that commitment. If you're not, you're gonna have to make that call if you're not committed to James Houston. But I think he makes a team. I just saw a couple names in Woodward Sports Chat, or the name in the Woodward Sports Chat that I think he's competing against at this point too is Ukwu.
Yeah.
Ukwu in 3 games, 3 sacks.
Damn good preseason.
Another good outing, and he had a great outing too against. I don't want to say great because he didn't land any sacks or anything like that too, but like you saw him, he showcased his skills against that first team KC offense too, and that's one of the elites. And you know they had the best offensive lineman out too because they had Patrick Mahomes out there trying to keep him safe, and Ukwu was on that ass. Pause.
Yeah.
Nick, where you at with the James Houston saga?
Everything's gonna be fine.
Everything's going to be fine. Everybody's overreacting about James Houston, I think, especially, I don't know why it's so polarizing, but it is in this town about the James Houston saga. And it's because he was hurt last year.
Yeah.
Like, let's reel it back in. And I know, I think Olsen said in the chat, not a gritty guy. Maybe he's not the grittiest of guys, but can he get to the damn quarterback? Yes. Is he elite at doing that? Yes. That's all I care about right now. And when it's a 3rd and 12, and you got Hutchinson coming at you, Houston, Reeder, Aleem, a Davenport, it's all of these guys are going to fit into the one thing, and it's getting to the quarterback, and James Houston does that at an elite level. He's going to make this team. Brad Holmes doesn't name drop players just for fun. Like, he sees something special in them. He is one of Brad Holmes' biggest gems of his career.
So what do you make of Dan Campbell's comments?
I think he's still trying to push him. I think he wants to light a fire under his ass, honestly. That's where I'm at with Dan Campbell he continues to say this about James Houston. And I think it's just lighting a fire under his ass. Maybe this guy needs to be pushed harder than other players. And I think he's going to be on this team week 1. And I think if he's in the game in some big spots, rushing the passer, I think he's going to get home as well.
Yeah, I guess that's a good takeaway. If he's gonna make the team for sure, we know Dan Campbell do those Jedi tricks. Talking about J-Mo with the hands.
Yes.
Talking about us like breaking the record. Like he plants that seed, and that's the great thing about leadership too. Is like accountability is number one. But if you give somebody else accountability, then they're in charge. You don't have to be the one to tell them what to do. They're in control of it. You put that responsibility on them to make themselves great. I thought initially when he said that you don't say those things to motivate somebody on cut day because you don't know if he's making a team. But if he's making the team, then that's what that was.
I think he's making the team. I'm not too worried about that. I think it goes down to Betts or Ukwu. Or what's Ukwu? Right?
Ukwu, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Betts or Ukwu, and I think they're going to go Ukwu. I think they can keep both of these guys. Really.
I don't know. I only had. Let me pull up my squad.
I think
defensive line. I had Ogudier, Betts. Oh, that's my linebackers too. Kaminsky obviously gone. Betts. But yeah, I had Ukwu making the team overall. But I'm gonna switch up now.
I was just going to say, I think you can keep Betts on your – because I don't think Betts gets picked up by anyone if you get rid of him. So he could be on your practice squad.
Well, remember, too, he got offered another situation that I guess was more fruitful money-wise. He ended up coming here.
Yeah, that's true, but he didn't really do anything in preseason to show other teams that, to draw interest from other teams. That's my guess. I mean, he had the sack, but other than that, he didn't really impress.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think Betts would be – If you did waive him, I don't think he would get picked up. And if he did, that's not the end of the world.
Yeah. I think he would get picked up, but I'm with you with it not being the end of the world. I had 10 defensive linemen in the roster. Aiden Hutchinson, Marcus Davenport, Aleem McNeil, Levi Anzarike, DJ Reeder, Kyle Pico, Broderick Martin, Makai Wingo, Josh Pascal, and originally Ukwu that I kind of want to change to Houston after listening to Nick. Great take, Nick.
Shout out, thank you. And I just want to ask the chat and everybody listening, if you had to go against James Houston and Montez Sweat, you know, the first time we played Chicago in Chicago, anyone feeling great about Jared Goff not being protected on the blind side with James Houston coming at you?
No, I would not like to see James Houston on a team I'm playing against.
Exactly. It's like, all right, I know you guys might not have faith, but think about the opposite. And it's just, I just cannot get the game against the Jacksonville Jaguars out of my head where he just looked so elite at getting to the quarterback. And I think he gets that back this season.
And not only that, what he does to the carcass of the quarterback too. Like it's, I mean, you want Jared Goff dealing with that? Like, come on. Like, I mean, like what he did to Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, what he did to Trevor Lawrence, what he did to Justin Fields. Like, you just gotta sometimes the choices in life aren't as difficult as you think when you just look at the alternative. Once you can be complaining about a situation, you can be hyper focused on it. But if you just step out and look at the alternative, sometimes it makes the decision a lot easier. I think that's one of those cases with this situation. I understand that's how this regime is built. They like the versatility, but I think it's so simple if you just look at the opposite of him being on another team in a role that favors him.
Just a fan says, fear is never reason to keep a player. The reason to keep the player is he has 8 sacks in 9 games played in the NFL. That's the reason to keep him.
Yeah,
the reason to keep him is we've seen him do it in actual games in the NFL. That's the reason to keep James Houston.
Well, the other piece, too, where you're looking at the staff kind of just believing in him is like when he did come back, they played him against an NFC Conference Championship game. Remember he had that one like semi-late hit, didn't pick up the flag, but had a little bit of a late hit on Brock Purdy. Like, so not only did he play the game, but he also like got to the quarterback, you know what I'm saying, and imposed his will. Or at least you saw him. You noticed him out there. So if he was... The only reason to put him on the bubble is if Betts blew it out of the water. Uku did, and Uku kind of did, and I think it's a conversation they're probably having because I just don't know if they can keep both of them.